Everybody.
Yeah.
Swear in again.
Okay.
Sitting there for months.
I was just gonna say, he's gonna be out of sorts, he's been sitting next to me.
I'll text you, Karen.
Okay.
Bob said he's planning to be my head in shame.
I think we're ready.
You're the world traveler here, you've been everywhere.
So we want to make a brief introduction before we start the meeting. Someone we're very excited to introduce you to. I'll let Jamie do the honors.
So our new Director of Finance is Tanya Lohoisky, who started with us about a month ago, I think, at this point.
Welcome.
You're still here.
Come back every day.
So Maureen's last day was about a week and a half ago, so she's on a kind of cross-country junket at this point. But Tanya's been fitting in great. Quick learner, she learned a lot from Maureen while Maureen was still here, so we had a little onboarding process which really helped a lot. But it's been going great. Really, really enjoy having her here.
Excellent.
It's a great experience. Wonderful. Okay, I think we're going to start. David, are we ready on the right? Ready on the left? Ready to go? Good evening. I want to welcome everyone to the November 10th meeting of the Metroplex Board of Directors. Beautiful day here in Schenectady, a fall day. First item of business is the approval of the minutes of the September 8th meeting. I have a motion. Leo? Second. Any discussion, comments, corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next up is the treasurer's report.
So, actual year-to-date, we are over 8.4 million in sales tax revenue, which is phenomenal. We're well over budget, which is excellent. The forecast is great. So, we have cash and equivalents of 5.3 million. We are on pretty good pace with DRI money is coming in. We have some money allocated through the pre-development budget, and we have about 150,000 that's available so far. And the finances are in great shape, so thank you, good job.
My first month.
Good month.
We need a motion to second on this. Brad, we need a motion to accept the treasurer's report. Thank you. Second, Brad, thank you. Any comments, discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. First up, we have a number of resolutions tonight. First up is a project on a $7 million project on Erie Boulevard, and ask Jamie to summarize and a few comments as well.
Yeah, so the first resolution allows us to hold a public hearing for the SCH Storage Investor Project. This is a development company that's out of Georgia, but it's owned by two residents who grew up here in Schenectady, went to school at Niskuna High School, so it's good to see them kind of back in town. They're planning a very large scale investment of $7.3 million. They bought a 2-acre site at the old Red Cap Sales on Erie Boulevard, which is a contaminated site. It's undergoing cleanup right now. And their plans are to build a 3-story, 100,000 square foot climate controlled storage facility. I was saying before the meeting that Ray and I were talking about how, all the apartment buildings and facilities in downtown are full. It's amazing as they get built, they get rented out. And so it just seems like these are ideal conditions, for a first-rate facility of this sort. It'll have 767 units all together. As I mentioned, we need to hold a public hearing. Metroplex participation is a sales tax exemption, mortgage reporting tax exemption.
Not a mortgage.
Oh, not a
We're
mortgage.
not doing that.
Okay, that's right, because they're financing it themselves, and a pilot agreement.
Can I have a motion on this?
So,
Second by Brad. I want to thank Neil, put Aaron and Jay Summer in touch with me. Great guys, as Jeannie said, grew up in Niskuna, came back and saw all the good stuff that's going on in Schenectady, especially the growth of apartments. Just anecdotally, I had a friend looking for an apartment for their son, and we called all the apartments downtown, like no one had an opening. So the market is really very, very strong. They're very good operators. They do projects up and down the East Coast. As Jamie said, they're based outside of Atlanta. Smart guys, saw an opportunity here. We initially didn't think we'd have to be involved on the incentive side, but if there's any reason, if you're out talking to people about Metroplex over the holidays, if for no other reason we exist, it's because of the soil conditions of downtown Schenectady. The soil conditions are tough to build in, it requires deep footers, there's a lot of water underneath in downtown. I mean, a bunch of our projects over the years have related to the fact that we've had to adjust soil conditions. In this case, they had to initially remove spend over $400,000 to remove contaminated soil from the site. And they have to truck that off site, take it to a burn plant, dispose of it properly. They've done everything according to the law at DEC there on site. So it's been a very tough project from that point of view. It's a great location, right at the corner of Erie and Seneca. It's a vacant lot now. It was once owned by the city. We actually helped get this property back on the tax rolls. It was the site of the city incinerator at one time. The city actually had an incinerator there. And it's kind of at the gateway to Schenectady, so it's very important. Of course, the harbor is directly across the street, townhomes at the harbor. And just the site below that, David, if you just point out, we're really working now with the owner of this site. We'll probably come back to you on this very soon. If you look at this site, it's in very bad condition. It's really a mess, and the harbor is so stunning across the street. And it's owned by a great guy named Todd Kilborn. He has a great business there, 60 or 70 high-paying jobs, precision industrial. We actually walked the site a week or so ago with Mary Moore Wallinger, the landscape architect, who did a lot of work with us to try to come up with ideas to beautify this site. But going back up to the site that Aaron and Jay Summers are going to build at, it's really a gateway. It's very important to kind of clean up that site and have a nice image. This building, these new storage buildings, as you see them pop up, they look like office buildings. This is a 100,000 square foot building. It's a big building, $7 million. And we give them a little break through the pilot to help really compensate just for the soil conditions. They didn't really want to ask for anything, but when they have to come in and do $500,000 worth of cleanup on the site, that's where we get involved. So good project. It's under construction now. Jersen is the contractor, and they can't wait to be open because I think the demand will be very strong.
You didn't know that, did you?
I didn't know that.
You didn't know, now you know it.
Well, you should tell the group that.
Pardon me?
You should tell the group that. That's a good, when we get to the vote, Aaron is Neil's godson. So he's gonna recuse himself. They're very,
Summers had 4 sons, and every one of them is an all-American kid. Every one of them. They are such neat kids. Jason and Aaron put this all together.
Yeah.
They asked me about Schenectady. What am I gonna say about Schenectady? So, okay. I've stayed out of it. I haven't.
yeah, no, you have not been involved.
Should I recuse myself?
Yeah, I think
I
that's
think
probably a
it
good
is.
idea. I don't think there's any conflict, but we always want to make sure there's no issues here at Metroplex. So thank you, Neil, but great guys and great project, and we're happy to answer any other questions. We have a motion in a second, yes.
So what's your timeframe on, you said they've already started,
And they ran into some more problems with tanks and underground things, even though they had done the ground penetrating radar. So they're still in that phase of digging. They want to get foundations in for the winter and then keep building. Right?
Planning commission next week, right?
They're through with planning.
Well, they're.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that, so.
They're through, yeah.
Already.
I
So their anticipation
I would
deal
guess
by spring?
spring, summer. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a big building, 100,000 square feet.
Yeah,
so.
that's huge, so.
So
They
far,
told me last week their cost for the contamination are exceeding $700,000. So.
yeah, it's soil conditions.
Yeah.
If anybody gives you grief about Metroplex incentives for downtown projects, 2 words for them: soil conditions alone. If we didn't exist, this stuff wouldn't get addressed, and they would have just walked away from the project.
Yeah.
They would not have gone forward with a great project. So, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor of resolution 1505-21, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next we go, yes, and you will recuse himself, thank you. Thank you very much. Next we go across the street to Mohawk Harbor with resolution 1506-21, 21, and we'd ask Jane to summarize.
I'm sure you read the articles in the paper about announcement from Discover Schenectady and Metroplex about the rink at Mohawk Harbor, a great, terrific tourism project. It'll be a real local attraction being built right near Brothers at that end of Mohawk Harbor, outdoor skating rink. They've lined up a host of corporate sponsors to get started with. Metroplex's participation in this is a $60,000 grant, or up to $60,000. It's a dollar-for-dollar match on the whole electrical upgrade that needs to be made on the pad site. Nancy told us earlier that the power's going to be out for a couple
I'll
hours
need a place to stay.
while they hook everything up on December 15th. So that's November 15th or December?
November.
November 15th, so next week. So they're getting ready to
You're going
go.
away, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I guess what you already told us. I'm going to Blueberry.
So can we go ahead?
So there's a whole installation that has to take place, obviously, keeping the rink chilled during the outdoors is a lot of power, so we're gonna provide a little bit of a helping hand on that. And with respect to Seeker, it's already been taken care of with the full EIS that was done for Harbor many years ago.
Have a motion on this? Aaron, second. Nancy, thank you. This is another kind of interesting story where one of the principals in Flight on Ice Entertainment was up to visit his dad, who he lived in Schenectady. His dad still lives here. He stayed at the Landing Hotel. He was just knocked over. He's like, I remember this was the Apple plant, and just was so impressed. And he and his partner, who's was an NHL player, who was a really nice guy, who just got hired to be the color commentary guy for the Chicago Blackhawks. They last winter, especially during COVID, did a bunch of these rinks in the Jersey, Philadelphia area, and they were a smash hit. They're doing more this year, and because of global warming, you can't just count on spraying a pond and having it stay frozen. You have to have chillers. You have to have a process. As Jamie said, there's going to be pop-up stores from Beekman. There's going to be food and beverages from Druthers, Shaker Vine, the casino. It sounds like a great thing. The other thing is we get electric to this pad site for the skating rink, but eventually we hope to build something on that pad site so it has a dual function. So we're very excited about it. Great that they picked Schenectady. They have other rinks going up, and it'll be up in December 1st.
That's a regulations, size.
It's a good question. I should have addressed that. No, it's not full regulation. It's a little smaller than that. They had done that before, but they had too many problems with people speed skating and causing in other locations. So it's a little smaller than that.
Rockefeller Center side.
Yeah. It's more of recreation. They rent out skate rentals, they'll warming hut.
Expedition.
But yeah, it would
For the
be
college.
fun. Yeah, they want to do a bunch of special events down there, so.
So it's an annual, so they'll bring it every year.
I mean, depending on how it goes, we hope it's successful. There's a lot of buzz about this. This blew up in social media. It was really well covered, so we're excited about it.
Does it have a name?
It's River Rink
River Rink.
at Mohawk Harbor.
They do have one in Philadelphia. I've done it a couple of years ago. And it's crazy. It's really kind of cool. So they just put this little pop-up thing right near City Hall, and it's really cool. So,
And when we had, the Beekmans are really excited about it. And when we had the Beekman sale at the harbor, you remember before COVID, it was jammed. So they alone are a huge draw. So they're behind us 100%. So modest investment. We think it'll come in around 52, or we went up to 60.
Yeah. Their quote is around 105.
Any other questions? Seeing no, call the question. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or refusals? No, thank you. Next, we go to Crane Street and resolution 1507-21.
So I'll speak to really the action that's needed tonight, and Ray can explain sort of the bigger picture here. This was a project that the board reviewed in 2019, another one of the Crane Street projects where Metroplex provided some matching funds for the Main Street grant that runs through BCNI. So that helps fix up the exterior of properties that have both businesses on the ground floor, residential on the second floor. So that project has gone well and has been completed, but also around the same time, Metroplex took on 2 purchase options for this nearby, but with the same owners. So what this resolution does is it allows us to convey those assignments, assign those purchase options to Jabal Housing, because they have a much bigger scale housing project that's been in the works for a long time that David has been working on, the land bank and BCNI and Metroplex. So DePaul is a national developer. They were involved with the Joseph Allen Apartments on Albany Street, which is a beautiful apartment. So Metroplex will gain $25,001 at closing with DePaul, probably sometime next year, I would guess. But you can explain kind of the rest of it. But it's
We got a motion and a second on this first. 1 second. What's that?
I said, is your personal code
Who are we talking about?
involved?
No, it's a major housing developer coming out of Rochester. I need a motion and a second. Nancy, thank you. Thank you very much. So let me just thank David for all his hard work on this. We've been on a path we got rid of Chubby's Pizza, built a new library. The county supported that. That was game changing. The Boys and Girls Club got built, played a key role in that, instrumental role. $14 million investment. A bunch of facades have been getting done up there. They're building a new splash pad at the land bank. And David is right on schedule with that in Wallingford Park. The city's been doing some improvements on the streetscape and the lights. And what am I missing, David?
Yeah, the city of Redid Orchard Park has been a really good effort working with the neighborhood association, 44 demolitions in the Mount Pleasant neighborhood, Habitat for Humanity's building homes. So everyone's focused on our work on Green Street. The infrastructure bill is going to be great for the Green Main intersection.
Major linkage study that was completed on Main and Craig and connecting, this part of town across the bridge into Hamilton Hill. The first rule of economic development is site control. So we have been assembling a parcel up there with the city's cooperation, vacant lots, some demolitions that were done by the land bank, and put together a parcel that we now have a developer who's optioned that parcel, is paying the city fully assessed value for the land. They're paying us for our options, and they're proposing a $15 million building here. This is exactly what we hoped would happen when we started with throwing a brick through the wall at Chubby's Pizza and saying we got to change the dynamic on Green Street. And it's been a community effort. David has been to countless meetings. I know Karen is at these meetings. Their community is involved. It's people from the neighborhood. They see the progress. They see the library. They see the Boys and Girls Club. They see the facades being built. They see these empty lots now being assembled and bringing in a developer who's already done a $16 million project on Albany Street, has a proven track record. And this project has been approved by the city council as far as the land option, and it heads to the planning commission next week. So this is part of the approval process that will hopefully result in this $15 million project going forward. We just couldn't be more excited. I couldn't be more grateful to David and the land bank and all of his efforts. I mean, just countless times up there, meeting with neighbors, meeting with the group, getting the splash pad built for next summer, and on and on and on. It's a really great project. And it takes one, and then it takes a second, and it's a momentum business. That's what we've always said. So happy to answer any questions on this project.
Just want to make a comment. I commend David. We've been at numerous meetings, and, there's, with the pandemic and the fact that everything slowed down to just about nothing, this is like great news for Green Street, because this is now going to happen. So, and I believe you'll see a lot more applications coming in for, more renovations, more revitalizations. So, great update.
Thank you.
And I'll need to abstain from that.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Drive up there, you see some things going on, positive things. We had the state housing commissioner at the Boys and Girls Club last week, and she was just amazed what a facility that is, so. We'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? One abstention. Thank you. Next, we turn to the Metroplex budget. We're asking you to summarize, and we hope to adopt the budget this evening.
Yes, well, first let me apologize that we didn't include the budget with your materials. I'm
It's very thin.
oversight on my part. But members of the finance committee did look at all the details, so they'll vouch for the
It's 5
accuracy
inches of oversight.
of the budget itself. In any event, the committee did recommend the adoption of the budget. In some respects, it was difficult to put together, just in the sense that we put together a conservative budget showing $9.5 million in sales tax. And, we've already received $10.5 million this year. Yeah, and then you would normally we would say with inflation running as high as it is, typically sales tax increases at the rate of inflation. I mean, we could easily project $11 million, I think. But we forecast the $9.5 million. The county's projection is even less than that. So I think it's just a cautious budget, which we always are with the organization. On the expense side, I think the headline is that we've put in for two more positions with the DRI lined up, the DRI 13 approved projects, but when you really dig into it, it's probably about 25 projects that are in the $10 million DRI with all the matching funds. So we are going to do more staff help to be able to get through that. We allocated more money for the pre-development budget, again, for the pre-development, the design work that goes on with the DRI projects in particular. So it leaves us with about $2.5 million in discretionary funds at the end of the day. So that's a pretty good number. And if you start thinking about that, the sales tax may end up being higher, then that would all be to the good of the order here. So I can answer any questions that you might have for the budget that you're not looking at all the details. We will send it out to you, and I apologize for it. The budget does get sent to the authority's budget office and recorded there.
Does the budget include any new projects that we're looking at for next year?
The operating budget does not, but that's why the discretionary money that we have on hand is the important number that Ray and I use to be able to make offers to companies as the year goes on. So as Karen mentioned in her report, we've got a healthy cash position right now, and plus we're looking ahead to more discretionary money next year.
Great. Do we need a motion on this, right?
We do.
We need a motion. Karen, second. Todd, thank you. Any further discussion on the budget? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we go to a parking resolution dealing with the snow removal, which we hate to think about snow removal. It's been so nice, but we'll ask James to summarize.
This is our annual contract with Barstead Enterprises, who helps us with snow plowing, snow removal. Proctor's is coming back online, so we'll be doing more snow removal during the winter months. We'll try to keep up with the snow as best we can. It's a 6-month contract for $75,000, plus there's an additional stipend for removing the snow, which we do in the key Proctor's lots during the season. Proctor's schedule isn't as full-blown as it was pre-pandemic, but they still have a lot of shows coming in that'll pick up during the course of next year. We did an RFP back in 2019, and Barstead was the low bidder on that, and they have a 5-year contract with us, so every year we come back to the board for a new contract.
Need a motion on this? Karen, second. Nancy? Any discussion about snow removal?
We're not getting it.
We're not getting it. That would be nice.
It's like when you buy a new snowblower, it doesn't snow. That's why we approved it, it's just like.
That would be great. See no other discussion, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Thank you. Next up, we go to public comment. Any members of the public who seem to be here tonight? We welcome public comment. We broadcast our meetings and people are encouraged to attend. So we'll close the public comment period. I'll take a motion to go into an executive session to discuss contractual matters. And when we come out of executive, we will not be taking any votes in executive session. We will come out of executive session and adjourn the meeting, and it's my plan as chair. I need a motion to go into executive session. Karen, I need a second. Thank you, appreciate it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, we're now in executive session.